Planet Dolan.
From almost firing an arrow at a baby's head to almost boarding an exploding bus, the Planet Dolan crew re-enacts some of the best true stories from our subreddit about the worst incidents you narrowly avoided. I'm Danger Dolan and today I'll be on the narrator. Number 10 was submitted by ChronoGamer12345667. This story proves Kyle wasn't always a sharpshooting badass. As a kid, he spent the weekend at a Boy Scout shooting camp out, where he and 4 others got to shoot clay targets. When Kyle's turn came to shoot the shotgun, he shouted, "Pull!" and the manager launched a clay target into the sky. As he went to shoot, Kyle's finger slipped and he accidentally switched the gun to safety mode. Seeing that it didn't fire, Kyle decided it would be a good idea to look down the barrel and pull the trigger a few times. While doing this, he accidentally switched the safety off and the gun fired. Luckily he didn't blow his whole fucking face off, but he did lose a few hairs. Number 9 was submitted by t-zogaming. When my brother was 8 years old, his friends found some military backpacks by a pond. They thought this was the greatest thing that had ever happened and emptied out all the contents onto the curb. My brother was a bit nervous about this. From a safe distance he saw a lot of live heavy machine gun ammo and a bag full of smaller caliber ammo. He was happy to let them play with this stuff until he saw one of them pull some homemade hand grenades out. When they asked him to come play with them, my brother quickly said,
I have to go to the bathroom.
Once he lost sight of them, he started running home to tell our dad. He and a couple of neighbors soon came to investigate, and the police came and told them the stash they'd found was actually terrorist-made weapons. It was super lucky they found it, as they were most likely preventing a serious tragedy. Number 8 was submitted by LadyDrea. When Pandora was in middle school, students would often play baseball for gym class. But Pandora and her friends didn't really like baseball, so they often sat on the bleachers instead. On this particular day, Pandora was reading her favorite manga while the girls watched the game. And suddenly one of them let out a blood-curdling scream and leapt up off the bleachers. Pandora spun around and shouted,
"What's the matter?"
While her back was turned, a baseball came flying past her head and crashed into the bleachers. She was like an inch away from an instant concussion. After this near miss, Pandora tried to go back to reading her manga, but her heart wouldn't stop racing. Number 7 was submitted by JGamerX The Storm 55. When Shima was little, she went to a party that had jumping castles. She was having lots of fun jumping around till a few older people came in for a bounce. Unfortunately, they were too heavy and the jumping castle ended up deflating very quickly. Shima couldn't get out in time, ended up getting stuck right in the back corner where the wall and the floor joined. She couldn't get out and the heavy rubber was stuck right in her face. Shima cried out thinking she's gonna suffocate, but no one could hear her. Luckily someone re-inflated the jumping castle just in time, but it was a close call. Number 6 was submitted by screweyempress. One day Hellbent was planning a trip to London to see his mother. He planned to take a train and bus to get there, but just as he was about to leave, his mother called. She told him she picked up the norovirus while on her cruise and that he shouldn't bother coming down to see her until she was better. So Hellbent stayed home. Later that night he was watching TV when his mum called in a panic. She told him to put the news on. He changed channels and they were both shocked. The bus Hellbent would have caught was blown up in a terrorist attack. If his mother hadn't gotten sick from her cruise, he would have been on that bus at the exact time. Number 5 was submitted by BenMac2112. When Slaptam was 10 years old, he and his younger brother got their hooves on a small bow and arrow. Naturally, they went out shooting the arrow at whatever they could find. One of them soon had the brilliant idea to shoot the arrow up into the sky to see how high they could get it. As they lined up their shot, Slaptam's 3-year-old brother came outside to see what they were doing. The arrow launched up into the air and came soaring back down. It landed just 3 inches from Slaptam's baby brother. If the wind had carried it just a little further, it would have hit him straight in the top of his head and killed him instantly. Slap Tam decided to stop after that. He still hasn't told his mother to this day. Number 4 was submitted by Ben Mac's mother. She says, "Fuck you, Ben Mac, you nearly killed your brother, you can't." No, I'm kidding. Let's go with the real number 4 real quick, dude. Number 4 was submitted by IgorImmortal. One time, Pringle went for a drive to see his mother on Mother's Day. He was going 70 miles per hour down the highway, and a left turn overlooking a cliff was approaching. Pringle was preparing to take the turn when he suddenly lost a wheel. Not a tire, a wheel. He watched it roll away in his passenger side mirror. He's not sure what black magic caused it, but Pringle managed to turn the car and stop seconds before the edge of the cliff. Number 3 was submitted by Bacon Boss 1231. One day, Nixium went to his friend's house to play kickball in their huge backyard. The friend lived between 2 train stations, so there were train tracks just outside the fence. Nixium and his friends were having heaps of fun, until Nixium accidentally kicked the ball over the fence. He volunteered to go get it and climb the fence. However, he was in such a rush that he didn't notice the oncoming train. He grabbed the ball just as his friend shouted, "Train!" Nixium couldn't see it, but he could hear the train was really close. He threw the ball over the fence and climbed back into his friend's backyard as quickly as possible, spraining his ankle in the process. Other than his ankle and some scratches, Nixium was unharmed, but it could have been much worse. Since then, whenever the ball went over the fence, they left it. They ended up losing 5 balls that way. Number 2 was submitted by RennisTora. When Emoji was 5 years old, his dad worked in a scrapyard. His parents considered it safe, so Emoji and his brother hung out there all the time. One day, Emoji decided to climb behind the wheel of a big old tow truck from 1927 that had always been there at the back of the yard. It had a push button start and a button on the floor for gas. Like any child, Emoji started pushing things and making noises, pretending he was driving. Suddenly the truck, which had been sitting there for 20 to 30 years, just up and started. It was still in gear from when it was parked. Emoji's dad heard a loud bang from across the yard, ran over to see what had happened. He found Emoji sitting behind the wheel of a tow truck that had backed halfway up a tree. The tree overlooked a 100-foot cliff edge and was the only thing stopping the truck and its passenger from going over. So the first story was submitted by me. What's the worst incident that I ever narrowly avoided? Alright, so every day after school, I would hop on my bicycle and I would bicycle down to the milk shop. For Americans, it's like a candy store. You just buy lots of candy and bullshit. It was like a liquor store, right? So I was biking down this huge hill and I was going really, really fast. Every time I went out on my bicycle, I tried to go faster and faster every time just to see how fast I could go before I would chicken out. This one time, I went so fast that my brakes literally could not stop my bicycle. And I was approaching traffic, like full-blown traffic. At the bottom of the hill was just a road. I couldn't stop my bike. There were cars going left and right. I'm like, I'm about to die, I'm about to die, I'm about to die, but I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. So what happened, because I couldn't stop, was I just fucking took my bike handles and I just swerved as hard as I could onto my side. So my legs started scraping against the pavement at fucking top speed. I was in agony. My bike was skidding so close to the edge of the road. There were people in cars like honking like, what the fuck is this? There's a dude on his bike about to kill himself. But then luckily right at the very corner I just stopped. I was covered in blood all down my legs, but I was alive. No helmet, because I was a dumb kid. But goddamn, did that hurt, and I almost died. It was great. Best day of my life, 10 out of 10. Huge thanks to folks there of Planet Dolan subreddit for submitting their stories. We have another question for you. What's the weirdest thing a member of your family does? Let us know on the Reddit page linked below, and you might be featured in a future countdown. That's it for this video, and have a good one!
Screams and came racing outside. He looked at his dying lawnmower, then at his son, and said,
"You're dead to me, boy."
It took months of back-breaking chores for Nixium to pay off the broken lawnmower, and his dad didn't speak to him.